Hey everybody, it's your girl Alyssa, aka Liz, whatever you want to call me. You can follow me at I Love Lissy on Instagram, on Twitter, on Threads, and yeah.
And it's
No,
Lyssy.
it's ILOVELISSY.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Alyssa. You guys, today we have Alyssa. We're going to be going into some different topics with her, but welcome to this week's episode of Enlightened Investments. Make sure that you guys comment on the video to join the conversation, subscribe, and hit the thumbs up so that we can bring more people in. Okay. All right. So just to get started, I want to ask you, what do you feel like has been your most pivotal lesson over the past 2 years? Just about yourself, about growth, about self-worth. What do you feel like has been your most pivotal lesson?
That is a very good question. I don't even know where to start. It's so much that you have to like pick apart. But I guess I'll go with the most recent thing that really hit home for me that I thought that I was working on, but it resurfaced for me. And I'm gonna say boundaries, like they have to get sharpened because, and I noticed that I have a boundary with associates or like friends you don't really see as often. But I think I have to get better with like close friends and family because sometimes the lines get blurred and you don't have the boundary there. And I think for myself, to protect my energy, I have to really get better at that. Instead of like going all in, like giving all of myself and just feeling depleted after that. I naturally want to give to like people that I love, but at what point do I stop and be like, okay, you've given enough?
Yes.
So like,
So I'm glad you said that. That's a good place to start, because I was literally just talking about that in the video that I posted yesterday. But let me ask you
I
this.
saw that. I watched some.
So what made you, what kind of brought that back home for you? Like, did you feel like you were getting triggered too much? Do you feel like you just were giving too much of your energy and it was becoming draining? Like, what really brought that back so you could be like, I do need to sharpen up on this?
I would say like a little bit of both. Like I was triggered, I was drained, like to the point where my eyes was heavy, and I'm like, man, I'm tired. But I wasn't tired prior to, you
Mhm.
know. But then I'm like, okay, well maybe I'm tired because I'm up late. But in hindsight, I'm tired because I really gave my all, and I'm depleted of everything. And then being triggered, like having all of these thoughts that are like, oh man, like, do y'all deserve this, all of this from me? Like it was so much thoughts going on in my brain. I was extremely triggered, like very triggered. So that was an indicator to me that I have to do better. But in the moment when it was fresh, I wanted to blame everyone else, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they are contributing, but it ultimately is me giving it away.
Right, right. Man, that's a big one. I think a lot of people do struggle with that. So I'm really glad that you said that first. Okay, my next question to you: how did you get started on your spiritual journey? Like, how, because these people don't know you, but I know that you are very intentional about almost everything that you do, or you, at least you try to be intentional. So like, where did that start? Talk a little bit about how that started and what got you going.
That's a good question. Nobody has ever really asked me this question before. But then again, people are not spiritual, so I'm not surprised. So, what got me started? So I have this friend, right? We would just talk about deep shit. And this was really before life got real for me. We would just talk and talk and talk. And then I guess for me, what really had me dive deeper, I guess, life events. So there was a moment like I had a go to jail moment. And I think that really catapulted me into like my spiritual journey. Like, okay, I gotta get a little bit more serious. Like, I can't just be out here playing. Like, all right, life getting real. Out like no lie, going to court every week, having to check in every week, having to do all of those things that really had my mind blown.
Mhm.
That really threw me off of relationships. Like that really had me questioning everything and everyone around me. That really had me questioning, like, is there even a God here? Like that really had me really like, okay, you need to go figure this out for yourself, or because you can't just be out here willy-nilly in it. And I think a lot of people think that they can willy-nilly it. And it's not, I can't just be raw dogging through life with no foundation.
No.
So I would say, having that big pivotal moment for me really helped me dive deeper and I like to read. So it's like, okay, well, let me read books on this or let me research this. Like, let me see what resonates with myself and I'm gonna go from there. So that's really how I got started on my spiritual journey. All it took for your girl to go to the slammer.
I can definitely feel that. That definitely will make you want to
Yeah.
turn your life around and get your shit together.
It was a lot going on at that time. So like it took for me to go to jail, to be drinking a lot, to be pregnant, to have all of these events happen within a month of each other. And then I'm like, okay, my mind is scrambled like eggs. So that is what helped me really get on my journey and really deep dive and do my own research.
So you said that you like to read, and so you started reading books on the subject. So I want you to talk a little bit about the power of studying and reading and making sure that things resonate like with you and coming to the understanding that there is a God that is here to make sure that things flow the way that they should as far as natural law, but nobody is going to save you except for yourself. I want you to talk about like bringing that kind of home, like nobody's going to save you but yourself, and maybe even some books that helped you with that, but also paired with like the power of just reading and studying stuff for your own, because not enough people really do that and I don't understand it.
Baby, they don't even know how to read 2 cents in the email. I I can't. But to answer your question, the power of reading. My God, I don't even know if the people really know the power of reading things and really finding out what resonates for you, like in your soul. That reading various different books, and I might draw a blank about certain books, but I could probably insert them a little later.
Okay.
But reading certain books really changed my world, changed my life, especially during that time. Especially, not knowing where to go and being confused about what's next for you or what this life is truly about. Reading those books helped put my mind at ease about being confused or lost along the way. Granted, we are supposed to be lost. You're not gonna have it all together, but the books kind of like they help with that. They
Right.
help with that feeling of, am I doing this right? Is this the right way to go? It just helps ease your mind. I
And
have
connect
so many
dots.
books that I could send, but reading is so freaking powerful, and I wish more people did it. Instead
Yes.
of like, I think a lot of people wait for you to read so you can regurgitate the information, but it hit different when you read it on your own. Because what if you interpret it another way and I interpret it one way, you know? And that was a lot of the times whenever I would talk about it with my friend, Fortunately, I had the pleasure of being able to talk about this with a friend because she liked to read just as much as me, and she was much older too. So it's like, oh man, I get all this knowledge over here. Um,
Mhm.
so whenever you do read these books and you chat about it with a friend that has read it, you get these two perspectives. You get a perspective that you might not have come across, or you get to like play off of each other's thoughts. But reading it, like I said, reading it for yourself hit different.
Definitely. Definitely hits different reading stuff for yourself and taking it in, because your interpretation is never going to be 100% the same as somebody else's interpretation. So, um, talk about that, bringing home that point of nobody's going to save you but yourself. Like, what brought you to that confirmation? Because, like, I'm sure going through all of those situations put you there where you was like, damn, nobody is really gonna come pull me out of this. Like, I really have to figure this shit out. But what really like brought it home to where you're like, okay, I have to change my lifestyle. Not only do I have to change my mind, but I have to change my lifestyle.
What brought it home? I don't know. I'm thinking like, for me, if I could think back, I'm like, I can't live my life like this constantly. I
Hmm.
have to I have to get out of the matrix, like this is not for me. That's it. That's literally what I was thinking. Like, I can't live my life like this. Like, I have to keep pushing. Like, my level of awareness has to expand, or else I'm going to be stuck in a loop.
Yep.
And I know you see a lot of people stuck in a loop. Even I do. And I'm like, wow, you really not doing no work. But
Girl, it's crazy. Like, when I say I be trying not to be judgmental, but I just be like, oh my God, please get it together. I mean it.
and I try not to, project my thoughts and feelings, but naturally I'm gonna think like, wow, you're not putting in no work. It's just a natural thought if we just being honest.
Yeah,
Even
it
if
is.
I try to push that deep down and be like, I ain't gonna say it, but I'm gonna think it.
Hmm. Definitely. I definitely feel that, because same. Same.
Like,
Um,
I started putting names to what I was feeling. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm out here healing for real. And so once I started doing that, it was up.
mhm. It's power in naming your shadows, you guys. That's the word. It's power in naming your shadows. And y'all, I fell and I have a big old bruise right here and it's healing, so it
Mm.
itches. So y'all probably gonna see me like scratching this whole time right here. It's just a bruise. It just
Be
itches,
like,
okay?
oh, she need to go take a bath. She's
Right.
stretching.
Like, no, it's a bruise and it itch real bad. Just like it was hurting real bad, it itched real bad.
You get better
Um,
soon.
okay, my next question is going to be regarding astrology. So, what is your sun, moon, and rising? And how would you say that it affects you the most when it comes to your spiritual journey, one, but also in your relationships?
Mm. All right. So I am a Gemini sun, right? Which most people think that, that's just gonna be me 24. Granted, it represents me, but we'll get there. My rising is Pisces and my moon is Scorpio, so there is a lot of water there. Granted, when I first did my chart, I was thinking I was an Aries rising, totally off. I am Pisces rising, Scorpio moon, Gemini sun. How does it affect my relationships? Um, with men, because you girl like men, I ain't gonna lie, your girl be running. But that's just the Gemini sun of not wanting to commit, right? And also, I do have a Taurus Venus. I do like order. I like some structure when it comes to like my dating. And I just hadn't come across that. So
What's
I'm
in your seventh house? Do you know?
a Virgo.
So, you do need order, you need structure, but you also need somebody who's going to be consistent enough to make you believe that you can trust them, because that Scorpio
Yeah.
energy will very much be like, I want your soul, but I'll only give you a little piece of me. And then when I get tired of you, I'm gonna just withdraw. So if they're not consistent, if they are not upfront and direct about what they want, what they doing, and there's no structure, you're immediately going to be like, no.
And
Just
that's
off
what
of
your girl be doing. I'll be like, peace out. Like, I'm not, no lie, I started dating again this past month. Well, June. I didn't already deleted about 5, 6 niggas. Because why are you not coming with that heat? Like, why are you a bad bitch? Do you want me to chase you?
That is a thing these days. I really can't talk too much about it because, I date women. I've always dated women, but these men do want to be chased. It's like I don't want to say they're getting too sassy, okay? Because I don't like to shame people in their balance between their masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah.
But I will say that the balance is off. The men are not walking in their masculinity enough. And a part of it is just in society, the divine feminine is waking up. So feminine energy is taking over everything at a deeper level on the surface than what's on the surface. So we're seeing a lot of that. But I feel like the men have gotten so far removed from that masculinity because when they was doing that, it wasn't enough.
Yeah. And I'm noticing the men just don't put in the work. No. They're not doing the work, and they think that that will get them by, which it will with another woman that's not doing the work.
Yeah.
But with me, it's a no for me, dog.
Any woman that's self-aware is not going to put up with it
at all. So I'm just kind of like, on to the next, then peace out. And a lot of people make fun of me for that.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because what you don't want to do is waste time and energy. And it's just like, I think that's a big misconception, that we need to keep giving people opportunities to show us who they are. Like, no, we don't. You can get one opportunity to show me who you are and what you're going to do. And that's it. Now, granted, yes, people make mistakes, but if the mistake that you make speaks so much to your character that I feel like I can't trust you, I can't be vulnerable with you, I don't want nothing to do with you. And that's just it, So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's very beautiful. I imagine that even though you may not realize it, that sometimes you also take that approach in friendships. And that's probably why you distance yourself from certain people versus, letting people in closer. Makes perfect sense. Because I'm the same way, my Venus is in Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio rising. And then in my 7th house, I have Taurus as well.
Interesting.
So it's just like, like, either you gonna show me, like, I can not even really, I won't say trust, because trust takes time to build, but it needs to be consistent. Like, I need to know consistently what I'm gonna get with you, or I don't want to be bothered with you, because I don't have time for it.
I agree. So
I totally get that.
I mean, typically they meaning the guys that I'm dating, they're attracted to me because of my personality. I mean, I am easy on the eye too, cool. But they like me because I'm funny. But I'm like, dude, you gotta come with it too, with your personality. A lot of them don't have a personality. And I'm like, golly, I'm not asking for you to be Steve Harvey, but damn, where's your personality? Like, no, it's not given.
It's not given.
So Gemini sun, Scorpio moon, and the Pisces rising, that really be having people thrown off. That's when they be like, oh my God, you're 2 different people. Duh. I know that I am. But let me put that out there. A lot of people don't know that I am. I think they feel bamboozled because they think they're going to get a very vivacious person all the time. And that is not the case. Sorry.
No. It's very true, because not only are you a Gemini sun, but with that Pisces energy, Pisces are basically water Geminis. They have 2 personalities too. Yeah. So it's just like one extreme or the other. Sometimes you might get a little in between if I really fuck with you like that. But most of the time it's this or that, and you just got to catch me on which side you like.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think a lot of people think that that's wishy-washy, but
it's
in
not.
my personal opinion, that feels so fucking normal.
It is
And
normal.
even with a
Everybody
regular
has that.
person, even if you're not a Gemini or a Pisces, that's normal. You can't have a person be one way the entire fucking time. That's not even realistic. So whenever I see that slander, I'm like, you don't get it. Next.
No, they don't get it. I think that's a huge misconception about Geminis, especially. But in my experience and in my study of astrology, I've realized that Geminis are just honest. That's all it is. They have no problem going to one extreme or the next, or showing different sides of themselves, where other people feel like they have to lock the other sides of themselves in and give
Right.
everybody else what they want. And that's just unrealistic. So I just think that we could all take a page out of Gemini book about how to be authentic. And once you understand that, like on a deeper level, it'll be easier for you to connect and relate to Geminis. Because for me, I've always had great relationships with Geminis and Virgos. I never really understood it, but I am a third house stellium. And so I feel like people who have heavy mercurial vibe, like we just vibe. We can talk all day, we can laugh, and it's just a good time. Whereas other people, I find myself talking to them and I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about, bro?
No, for real. Or they don't know how to keep up. You
Yes.
lose them very quickly. And I'm like, and then they're looking at you like you don't know what you're talking about, but sis, you can't keep up. Cool.
Yes.
But it's so funny that you're a third house stellium. I'm a Capricorn stellium. So they
Me
just
too. That's why we love each other so much. Y'all, nobody knows this. I don't think I've ever told this story live, but y'all, this is my cousin. Okay. We are cousins by blood. She is my first cousin, I think, by blood, or second cousin.
second cousin. We're second cousins.
And
Mamas are cousins.
yeah, and the way we met, we was literally on a playground playing, didn't even know we was cousins, walked up to each other, started having a ball, and then our parents came and said, do y'all know y'all cousins?
Yep.
And
It was so random.
that was all she wrote after that. We was thick as Steve. So I've always thought that was funny because our moms kind of are the same way, even though they really have distance now. Like, it's just like when they get together, it's something weird happens and they just
Very magnetic. And
yes.
our mamas are very vivacious women. Oh my God.
Yes. Girl.
I think they
Girl.
must be the same person.
Girl,
Sister
yes.
cousin. I think they're sister cousins.
I definitely think they're sister cousins. I don't even think they realize in how many ways they're similar.
I don't think so either.
Whew, girl, but that's another conversation for a whole other day. Okay, going back into astrology, how do you feel like with having so much water in your big three, how do you feel like do you feel like it makes you explosive? Because air and water creates tornadoes. So like, do you feel like sometimes people expect you to be more like in a box or toned down than what you are?
Yeah, they always want me to tone down. Or, here's the most popular thing. That's too deep for me. If I had a penny for how many times I'd heard that,
Well, why? What are you saying when they're saying this?
I guess it'd be too deep. When they say that, I don't know what to say.
I don't
know how to respond to that. But to answer your question, does it make me explosive? It can. It definitely can. And it doesn't help that I have an Aries Mars. So that's like double explosive. So I have to learn how to balance that too. I've gotten way better, but there could be moments where I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. I think when it comes to my emotions, they'll be like, oh, well, it's not that serious or it's not that crucial. But in that moment, it feels like it is, right? Because I have all that fucking water in my chart. And if I don't get that out, I'm still a Gemini sun. So I'm still gonna think about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, it's a very interesting battle with all that damn water in my chart. I appreciate it because of its depth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when you're interacting with other people, you kind of run into some barriers, but that's just normal. It would be like that even if I wasn't full of water.
I honestly think people are just dumb.
I think so too. I think about that a lot. I think people are fucking stupid. They don't
Yeah.
think outside the box. And if I could say that, I would be an asshole. I'm
Mm,
already an asshole because I'm very blunt and honest. But if I truly thought, or if I truly said what I thought, no one would like me.
yeah, that's how I feel too. I feel like that's some Capricorn shit though, honestly.
Capricorns are much more blunt than myself. I'm not gonna lie.
But you think it even if you don't
I'm
say
thinking
it.
it. Y'all are just saying it.
Yeah, you go think it even if you
Like
don't say it.
my neighbor's husband is a Capricorn, and we always vibing over the meanest shit that we thinking.
Hmm.
Cause people are dumb.
Very much so. Very
And
much
he's
so.
like, we always talk about it. And I'm like, bro, you feel me? Like, I think with him, like we just get each other. And
Yeah,
then his wife
it's
is
a Capricorn.
Pisces too. So we just work.
It's a Capricorn thing. I'm telling you, like we already think we're smarter than everybody else because we just the way that we interpret knowledge and apply knowledge is different. Like we don't believe in learning stuff just to learn it and being curious just to be curious. If we're gonna learn something, we're gonna apply it. So the fact that people have all of this knowledge readily available and they have the nerve to talk about it, but nobody's actually doing what they say they're learning or living. We just be looking at y'all like, are y'all like, what is wrong with y'all? Have
I
y'all lost your
consider
minds?
Capricorns to be like the grumpy grandmas and grandpas of the zodiac.
I can see that. Yeah, we are because we're like, get your shit together.
To be fed up for real.
Get your shit together. Okay. So my next question. In what ways do you feel like your spiritual practice has leaked over into your work, the way that you do business, and the way that you go about making connections?
Mm. So spirituality, I'll start with how it has leaked over into making connections. Now I feel like I can't do surface level connections. Like it's not gonna last. It's not gonna work. I cannot force it no more. And I remember a time when I did, but now that I'm on my journey, I can't. Even with work wise, we'll chat. But if they want to chat about other things, I'm like, okay, well, how are you feeling? You know what? How's your day going? And I'm like, I have to realize that some people don't like to talk about other things outside of work. But I do have my select few at work that when we do chat, we chat. So like when I'm out of the office, they're like, "Oh my God, we missed you," and I'm like, I know." That's because I just choose to go a little bit on the deeper end. You asked me how does it affect um, work?
Mhm.
Now when people do certain things, I'm like, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, maybe they're having a bad day. Sometimes the energy does spill on me still. Um, and that's when I kind of have to take like a moment of silence. And now I'm actually in the process of like making me my own little meditation corner in my room because I hadn't built one yet. So now it's like they do something to piss me off, I'm just gonna go in my corner because I just can't have this bounce on me. Like yesterday, I felt like I had this really thick ass cloud over me. So I just had to do like my little sage and mixed in my little holy oil and just say my prayers from there because I can't continue on like that.
Mhm. I
Try
totally get that,
function.
girl. I totally get that because I definitely be having to go into my meditation corner in my prayer closet real quick every once
Yeah.
in a while. Because, woo, child. Do you feel like as you've grown deeper on your spiritual journey, it's changed the path of what you want to do in terms of work, or what it is that you currently do in terms of work?
Mm. So, that's a good question. So I have always been in the IT realm. When
Mhm.
I first got started, I was working closely with, but I'm still in IT right now. But as I grow deeper, I'm like, man, like I gotta be more passionate about some stuff. Like I gotta do something I truly love. Not saying that IT is not something that is just whack, but it is lacking passion behind it, like I I don't want to say I'm not passionate about some of the things that I touch in IT, but that's not my first love. It does have me, the journey does have me thinking about other ways, but I can do those outside of the job. So I'm currently trying to figure out what way now, currently. So we'll
Like
see.
what? Like,
Coming soon. Yeah, like how can I make money from passions? Like, and what's next for me? Like, am I really passionate about what I say I'm passionate about? Those type of questions that I have to dive a little deeper and figure out with time. Those answers not gonna come as quickly.
right. No, that's true. I think everybody wants instant gratification with that. And
Yeah,
just because you like doing something, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily passionate about it. And I think that's a big misconception too. So it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And I feel like, you know, a lot of people try to jump ahead too quickly.
yeah,
And they're like, well, I like doing this, or people like when I do this, or this is cool. So let me just start doing this. And it kind of takes the passion out of it because then you become focused on just the money when you haven't even gone deep enough into the passion yet.
right.
And wonder why the money isn't coming. So that's profound what you said. I think a lot of people should take a page from that. Um, okay. My next question, which kind of goes into what you were saying about, setting up your meditation corner in your room. Um, what would you say is the importance of keeping up a consistent routine of cleansing, protection, and just welcoming gratitude and prosperity going? Even if you're not doing like full blown rituals, just tapping into that energy, what would you say is the importance of that, and how has that added to your life?
So I think it's important to have these routines, whatever your routine might be, whatever works for you. It is good to have that because you're gonna have your slip up moments, and you need to know what you're going to slip back into or what's gonna catch you, I should say. So, if you have your meditation corner or your altars or your rituals, go tap into those. So, but if you don't have a routine, what you gonna tap into when you having these moments? And I think for me, having the routine is good because if I have my slip ups, I could easily slip into like depression or anxiety, very high anxiety. So it's very important for me to have my routine to keep that from happening. Um, because if not, then you just start spiraling from there.
It
So
definitely helps you stay grounded for sure.
yeah. And I think for me, I had to learn what being grounded is, your girl be in her head. And I
Mhm.
think having an animal kind of helps me stay grounded too, because I'm physically going to put my feet in the grass, right? Literally every day, whether I want to or not. I'm actually going outside and the sun is beaming on my face. So that also helps. And that's also a part of my routine. Like honestly, moving my body is a part of my routine too. And if I'm not moving my body, something's wrong.
Yeah. I have been more focused on moving my body and physical movement over the past few months. And I can say like everything is changing. Like to the point where I've told several people, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's going to happen, but things are changing. Like, I've just been fasting. Everything is clear. I've been a lot more disciplined and I'm just getting things done. Like, it's just unlocking something. And
Yeah.
all I've been doing is getting up in the morning and I do yoga. I take walks outside in the sun. And I have bad anxiety and I will slip into depressions as well. And there are days when I do not want to go outside at all, but I have to take my dog out. So I 100% feel you when you say
Like,
having an animal health, it does.
even I want to touch on what you said about fasting. Even with the fasting, that is life changing. And I think a lot of people sleep on fasting because they're thinking about what they're missing out on, when really you need to be thinking about what you're going to be gaining from that. Granted, I don't want you to go in thinking like, oh, I'm a gain, I'm a gain, I'm a gain. But it's so powerful. Even the dreams you have when you're fasting are powerful. And the downloads you get and the messages, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. God, you just hit me with the 2-piece special last night. Like,
Yeah.
I think even doing that really helped me and transform my mind and just helped me feel more confident in tackling life.
Yes. Fasting is powerful. Like, I started this thing where I fast the first 3 days of the month in May. And then July, I've been doing this purge in progress. So I fasted the first 3 days of the month. And then I had said I wasn't going to listen to any secular music last week. I had said that I was only going to listen to gospel music or like binaural beats. And I didn't. So to punish myself, I said I'm going to fast, do a fruit only fast for the first 3 days of this week. I just finished my fast yesterday. I still really haven't broken it because I haven't eaten anything. All I've been doing is drinking water today. But I just, something I'm telling you is just different. Like, I can't explain it, but it's just
I know
different.
what you mean. I did the fruit fast for 29 days in June. I was gonna go to 30 or 31. Wait, June got 30 days. But I got really sick. I started feeling sick. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time to end it. And I just felt different. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
felt, I didn't feel like my old self. I just felt transformed. I felt anew. It was what I was supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
Seriously. I
I
mean,
would
I ain't
encourage.
got no more booty, but it's cool.
Yes, you do. Shut up. Them hips and ass ain't going nowhere.
But it's cool or whatever. That fruit fast hit different though.
Yes, it definitely does. It definitely does. I would encourage anybody, if you feel like you're in a dark space right now and you just don't know what to do, start fasting. Start fasting. You don't necessarily have to do a fruit fast. You can choose however you want to fast. But I will say doing a fruit fast or a fruit and veggie fast or like a juice fast is going to be the best way to go because it allows your body to detox and cleanse, which adds to the spiritual elements that you're going to be getting from the fast versus you just saying, I'm going to give up sugar for 30 days and eat everything else that you want. Giving yourself more restriction requires more of a sacrifice, which every time you sacrifice more, you're going to get more of a reward, whether it be a tangible reward, mental reward, spiritual reward. The reward is going to always be greater when the sacrifice is greater. So I
Hell
would
yeah,
recommend that to anybody, but
for
I
sure.
definitely 100% agree that you have to have a routine so that you know what you can, not even so you know what to slip back into. Like, yes, that's a thing, but so that you're already building up the momentum for when you're in your time of need. And it's not just like, I haven't cleansed, I haven't done any protection, I haven't done anything to rebalance my energy and work that out. And now I'm just in this messed up situation. I have to start from scratch. If you already have a routine going, you might have something bad happen that throw you off, but it's easier to get it back because the momentum is already built up. So yeah. Um, okay, what is some advice that you would give to women who want to deepen their spiritual connection, connect with their ancestors, or enhance their spiritual awareness? Like, what would you tell them?
That's a good question, girl. Um, sis, if you want to deepen your connection, you want to speak with your ancestors, you want to do any of that, I would say, what would I say to them? I, this seems so, it sounds, my dog, my bad. It sounds so basic, but just start somewhere. I don't know, like, you just literally have to start somewhere, whether that be start with a prayer, hey, God, hey, whoever you pray to, I don't know where to start. Say that prayer so you can kind of get it out in the atmosphere. Start there. I would say maybe start reading some spiritual books. I don't know. Start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. Say the prayer first because it is or can be overwhelming because who knows? I can't even remember where I started for sure, but yeah, I would say start with the prayer.
I'm sure you started with prayer, whether you knew it
Had
or
to
not.
be, had to
Yeah.
be. And I think for me, I journaled a lot too.
Yes.
I journaled.
Journaling is essential. Y'all, please journal. I don't care if you don't like writing, you don't like reading.
Yep.
Please just write something down. Just pick up the pen and write down your thoughts, write down your feelings. Don't, if you don't have any thoughts, you don't have any feelings, just let the pen go. And then when you're done, read it and interpret it, reflect it. Like, please, journaling is essential to your spiritual growth because
I
if you don't
agree.
have a therapist, if you don't have a spiritual counselor, and you should have these things, by the way, but everybody is not in a position where they can afford to pay somebody to work them through these things. So pick up your journal so that you can be your own space of reflection. Because sometimes when things are in our heads or we carry those things in our bodies and we're not putting them in black and white, we don't realize how ridiculous they are or how easy the solution may be or how we're not as far away from success or movement momentum that we think we are. And so journaling definitely helps with clarity, helps with direction, helps with confirmation, and it also helps with self-awareness. So I think journaling is like a key tool. But just to go back to prayer, I always say, and I get a lot of flack about this because you know how spiritual I am and I have a spiritual public persona and everything, but I don't care. My ancestors are Christian. My relatives are Christian. I will not call myself a Christian because I don't 100% believe in everything that the religion says. But I'm going to tell y'all one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to pray and I'm going to go into my Bible every single time. Like, I do not care what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to pray and I'm going to go into my Bible. And I always tell people, I don't care who you pray to. That's not my business.
Yeah.
But you need to be praying. You need to be praying because there is power in the word. And when you're speaking prayers, it's like the most pure, intentional word that you can bring out of you. So to say, like, God, convict me and show me the way. God, bring people into my life that are going to teach me new knowledge and help me along the direction that I'm going. God, please help me see the error of my ways and change. God, release me from the demons of alcohol, from the demons of promiscuity. Whatever the case may be, when you start speaking like that out loud, especially, things happen. Things start happening. I'm telling you. Like, I'm telling you. I don't know what it is. It's God. That's what it is. It's God. But you have to pray. Like, you have to pray.
And I think for me, I did hit a point where I realized that I wasn't praying. And I'm like, wow, you're not saying shit. So how do you expect for it to even happen for you?
Mm-hmm.
Like how I mentioned, raw dogging through life with no prayers. I think you have to come to a point where you realize, like, wow, I can't live my life like that. I have to pray about what it is that I want. I have to write down what it is that I want if I want these things to come to fruition.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. So I like that answer. That was good. I'm very passionate about those two things. That's what I would say. If I was to say you had to start with something,
Yeah,
prayer and
prayer and
journal.
writing. Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Yep.
I definitely did in the beginning, the prayer didn't come as fast, so I was writing first.
Me too. Me too. And then once I started writing, it led me back to prayer.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yep. So I 100% agree with that. And I would say if you don't know where to start, that's a great place to start. If you don't have any belief or faith in anything, you don't know who to pray to your higher self.
Yep. I agree with that.
Um, okay, next question. Do you feel that it's important to, and I'm sure that your answer is going to be yes, just because of your Scorpio vibes. But do you feel it's important to keep certain things about your practice and yourself sacred? Or do you find that letting people into the things that you practice and the things that you do that are very personal to yourself helps with your growth? Which one, or it could be a mixture of those, but which one do you lean more towards?
Mm, it's giving very much Scorpio vibes with the answer that I'm about to get. So when it comes to like certain spiritual practices that I, do. So earlier I mentioned that I was building me a meditation corner with it's really an altar, but certain people I wouldn't be like I'm building an altar because for one, your mind can't handle that I'm building an altar,
Right.
right? Number two, all of the damn questions that's going to come with why am I building an altar? Why do I call it an altar? Oh my God, I don't want to explain that to you. I only, if I do mention that, it's going to be with somebody I know that can receive that I'm building an altar in my room.
Right.
Um, yeah, so to answer your question, certain practices of spirituality I keep to myself because a lot of people are very judgmental. And a lot of people are Christians, so you don't hear them say, I'm building an altar. A lot of them, they might say prayer closet, um, and don't let you mention sage because they're not going to be receptive to that either.
Mhm.
So I use different terms. Like, oh, sis, I got my holy oil. Like I have it with certain people. I don't hide that aspect, but it's very few, like probably one or two. Um, Everybody else, I just won't mention it unless they ask.
That's fair. That's fair. I've gotten to the point where I mean, there are certain things that I keep sacred just because it's for me and it's not for everybody. But as far as like my altars and like, burning sage, burning palo, whatever the case may be, incense, I openly speak about that stuff because I just feel like Christians need to get part of my language, but I feel like they need to get the stick out of their ass.
They
All of
really
the things
do. They
all the
do.
things that we do in our spirituality, they do in church. All of
They
it,
do.
literally all of it. And they have altars in church. So it's just like, I don't really have any, like, I guess I don't really have that uh restriction with them. And maybe it's because I'm just so far removed, right? But I'm like, y'all, keep your judgments. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I think the Christian, and like you too, Christianity that is my background. Like that's what my family, my ancestors have done for a while.
Yeah.
But Christianity, we need to talk about that hold that it got on people. I'm not gonna lie, like living in shame and Christianity just be going hand in hand. Like even the whole, sex before marriage. Like I legit thought I was going to hell.
There's a lot of people
The
that think
hold,
that
that's
though.
the hold that it had on me for a very long time. And for a while, I genuinely thought like, oh, I'm not gonna have sex before marriage. That the thought of that now is bonkers. the thought of that is like, I can't even wrap my brain around it.
Girl, oh my God. You
But
listen.
and even with like, you can't wear certain things. I'm like, what you mean I can't wear my titties out?
They're my titties.
Or what you mean I can't wear pants to church? It's
It makes
just, I don't miss that aspect, but I like the foundation that they laid as far as like, prayers and, certain things like that. But a lot of the ideals I don't get down with because it's too narrow minded. In
yeah,
the beginning, I used to feel like I couldn't be friends with gay people. And I'm like, they are human. What you mean I can't be friends with gay people? And I just didn't like how judgy the church was or is, because I felt like that carried over into my life. And I'm like, why do I care so much about these people? I don't give a damn.
yeah, that is very true.
And
I
so,
think for a lot of people, that's like they don't even realize it, but it keeps them from being their authentic self.
yes. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about doing your own research. That
Mhm.
is very, 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 very instrumental in your growth. And maybe you just gotta live life a little more. So like once I started like hanging around certain people and like kind of like distancing myself from the church, I realized that I didn't like a lot of their ideals
Mhm.
and still don't. But Lord, I'm just glad to be delivered from that way of thinking because it's just too narrow-minded.
It's
It's
very narrow-minded. I
too
think for
limiting.
me, because when I was young, and I don't know why this was, but I just felt really deep spiritual even from young. And because church and the Bible and Christianity was the only thing that I had as a point of reference for spirituality, I was in it. And it wasn't like from a necessarily narrow-minded Christian perspective, because I've never been in that. I mean, you know me, you know how I've lived my life for so long. You know I ain't never been in that. But I read the Bible cover to cover by the time I was like 11, and like made my own interpretation of certain things, and then started researching certain things, started going back and connecting dots with Judaism and Islam and then astrology, and like putting all of that together and coming to an
Yep.
understanding of like, this is what this is actually supposed to represent. And the church is turning it into something else based on judgment and patriarchal ideals. And
Yep.
that I cannot get behind, nor do I agree with. And I also feel like the concept of Jesus, while I do feel like Jesus was a prophet, beautiful example for us to live by, I don't feel like Jesus should be idolized or worshiped as a God. I feel like God is God and that's it. So that's why I can't actively call myself a Christian, even though I still have kind of like roots and ties to the faith. But I definitely feel like people need to, the way that Christianity is currently presented is changing, right? There's another generation that's coming and they are interpreting things kind of from a wider, broader
Yes.
perspective.
Thankfully.
Yes, but at the same time, it's still certain little things that need to be taken. Y'all need to take that out. Y'all need to take
I
that back.
agree.
So I feel you on that. And I think that's one reason why I've never been so tied to the church, like as a body. Like, yes, there was a time when I was going to church every Sunday, but I've never ever been just so bound and tied to the church. Like, it's never been a thing for me. The only time that happened, which I talked about in another episode, was I went to this church with this lady, and it was just a different type of church. I think it was I don't even know. I think it was like a Church of Christ or
Oh,
like an
they
apostolic
different.
church.
They different.
Girl, that's what started my spiritual awakening. I went to that church and I felt something in there that I had never felt. And I was like, I want this. Like,
Yeah.
I want to feel this every day. I don't know what that lady was doing. She was hypnotizing us up in there.
Yeah.
I feel like today
Probably
when I
was.
think about it, that it was a cult.
No,
But
Christianity is a cult. I tell people all the time, it's a cult.
it is.
If you don't like what they say, they be shunning you.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
can't challenge them. Even if you have a conversation with a Christian that is like a devout Christian, I can guarantee you they will get pissed off at this conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not irate pissed off, but like they will argue you down.
Mhm.
They will argue you down. And I'm like, okay.
I don't argue with them. I'm just like, whatever. Because at this point, I know, like, I have the knowledge. So I'm just like, whatever. Be ignorant if you want to. It is what it is.
Yeah. Be
But yeah,
limiting beliefs.
definitely. But yeah, that was the only time in church that I felt like a spirit come over me.
Yeah.
And I think it was just because that lady, she had the knowledge of how to tap into the God within her. She probably
Yeah.
has some Kundalini knowledge. Because when I think about the things that she was doing and I think about what I know now, I'm like, ain't no way, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember my first time too, and I'm like, whoa, this crazy. Like,
girl,
what y'all doing up in here? And I couldn't, I remember I was unable to stop crying.
me too. I didn't
I'm like,
understand why.
and I was just like, and I remember my mama talking about it on her phone with her friends about how, I'm like, Lord, I do remember that. I'll never forget that day.
Mhm. Yep. I never will forget that. That day changed my life for real. It really did. But okay, we only got a few more minutes. So let me get my last questions in. I have
Okay.
3 more questions for you.
Okay.
One, what advice would you give for conserving your energy in doing this work? Because it's always work. There's always something to improve, something to heal, something to work through. Like, how would you tell somebody to give themselves grace and space to just sometimes pause and be still?
That's a great question. I would say sometimes you just need to just be like, just chill, go hang out, go live life. Like, you can't always just be writing a journal prompt about what's next for your life, or, you can't always be on some, I don't want to say not tap into, you can't always be deep because that's just who we are as people, but you can't always just be on. You need to have those relaxed moments, like go have a sleepover, go out with your friends, go do something. That would be my advice. Go do something. You need to turn it off sometimes.
Absolutely. You have to come back down to earth and be human sometimes.
You do. And even with myself, I be getting caught up in it too.
Me
And I
too.
have to remind myself, like, man, like, chill, chill.
You're okay.
Work is never gonna stop. Just go do something.
Have some fun. Give yourself a break.
Yeah, it's a constant reminder for me though. I have to always remind myself that. So I don't want to portray as if I'm always getting it right, because there are moments where I'm like, whoa, chill. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, me too. Even as long as I've been doing this, I have moments too where I'm like, girl, you need to chill and you need to like have some fun. You need to get out the box, like go
Yeah.
outside.
I think another hard lesson that I want to throw out there, because I'm sure somebody else's can relate, is that when you're doing this work, we have to realize that a lot of people are not doing this work, or they are learning it as, they're on their way to. So for me, I have to like grant them the grace as I was granted. Um, and that is a tough lesson too, because you automatically want to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck? That's literally my main reaction is WTF. So we just have to remember that everybody is on a different journey, and their level of awareness is just not there, or not there yet, or it
Absolutely.
won't ever be there. So we just have to work around it.
You just have to meet people where they are
Yeah.
and let go of the judgment. Unless it's draining, then that's when you have to institute your boundaries and do what's best for you so that you're not becoming triggered by their demons. But 100%, I agree with that. I think a lot of people will relate to that because it's a struggle. Because people, it's like when you get to a certain point in your journey, almost everybody around you that's not doing the spiritual work, that doesn't have the self-awareness, they just seem so ignorant. And
Oh
it's
my
just
God. Don't get me.
it's just like, oh my God, get your shit together.
No, seriously. I'm like constantly rolling my eyes in my head. And I
Mhm.
was telling my friend, I'm like, why I decided to do healing? Because now I cannot unsee it.
Yep. That's the hard part. Once you start, you can't go back.
And then she made this joke and was like, ain't nobody tell you to go to therapy to heal? And I'm like, man, who
Girl.
child?
Okay. Two more questions. One, do you feel that shadow integration plays a strong role in success? And if so, why? If not, why not?
Hell yeah. You like a lot of people don't even know what fucking shadow work is. That is really learning the ins and outs, the light and the dark. That's really getting to know the darkest parts of yourself, like the most unlikable parts. So if you don't know those parts, how the fuck is you gonna progress?
You can't.
There's no progression if you don't know how you operate in the darkest moments, right? The shadow work is very much so necessary to even go to the next step, the next level, the next whatever you're asking for. This spiritual work is about learning who you are, right? The good and the bad, because some of the bad you're not gonna ever get rid of. You just have to learn how to make do, um, and continuously work to be better. But you're never gonna get rid.
Never.
Yeah, shadow work. Y'all need to do y'all shadow work. That's period.
That word prayer and journaling is going to start you off right every time.
Every
And don't
time.
banishing your shadows. Think about ways in which you can change or integrate them to be able to work for you. I always say, if you want to think about what will happen if you just completely dismiss all of your shadows, just watch the movie Us.
I have never seen Us.
Watch it. It's a very gory movie. It's Jordan Peele produced. And essentially, that's what the movie is about. When you look at the movie on a deeper spiritual level, it is about shadow work. They literally have these doppelgangers of each person in the movie living under the world in some type of dark shed of a basement, eating rabbits. And then they all come up to the surface to get their doppelganger and kill them because they left
Mm,
them down there to rot.
mm.
Now, if you're not spiritual, you're not going to interpret the movie like that. But knowing what I know, that's what the movie is about. Watch the movie and then readdress your shadows with some grace, some care, that's what I would say. Okay, my last question, because I know you got to go. Last question. What is your biggest pet peeve in sharing your spiritual practice and craft with others? Like, what is the one thing that when you start having spiritual conversations with people and you're so excited to talk about the healing and growth that you've done, like what is one thing that you get in response or that happens as far as people's behavior that makes you just like,
Oh,
why am I?
that's it. I mean, one of them is that when they tell me I'm too deep, or they just stare at you as if you said something that didn't make sense, when really it's just over their heads.
Yes.
That like my biggest pet peeve is when people tell me I'm too deep for them. Because what the fuck does that mean? Just say you slow, baby. Baby,
Yes.
I'm a little slow. Can you break this down for me in layman's terms?
That
Um,
I can with.
yeah, like, and a lot of spiritual talk is not happening with a lot of people because they're not spiritual.
Mhm. Yeah, that is very true. You
So
need
like
to get spiritual friends, cousin.
I do need to build my tribe up. And when I was fasting, that kind of helped led me to believe that as well. Because I need people to talk about that type of shit with. Um, I have only one person as of right now,
Well, you can always call me. We can talk.
for sure, definitely. But I think as of right now, that's the only thing that's come into my brain about spiritual talk,
Okay.
or they talk shit about it
Mhm.
because
That's-
they're not spiritual.
Yeah, they don't get it. They don't get it at all. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Um, I think that's it. I think we touched on a good portion of everything. I would just like to add, just take it easy on yourself as you go along on this journey because you're never going to get it right. Sorry.
You're
And
never.
then as far as like interacting with others, yes, humans can be stupid, but I think we need to take a step back and give them a little grace too. And I'm speaking to myself as well as I say these things because sometimes I forget and I want to go off on them.
Mhm.
I might even still do it, but I'm gonna come back and be like, I was tripping.
Fasting helps with that.
Yes.
It really does. It helps a lot. Okay, thank you so much, first of all, for doing this interview with me and being here with me. You guys make sure that you go follow her at I Love Lissy. That's Lissy on almost all platforms. I think she said Instagram, Twitter, um, TikTok.
TikTok. Well, TikTok, it's I love Lissy with an underscore.
There you go. Make sure y'all go follow her on TikTok. I always end with a postcard from Spirit for my interviewee. So this one is what came out for you. It says, Dearest you, going the extra mile to achieve your dreams and putting in some overtime will reap big rewards. Now is the time for you to act, to stir up some energy and put those plans into action. There are many windows of opportunity that open but close quickly when you don't take the risk and go for it. Today, be confident that your hard work will pay off and you'll feel that satisfaction and fulfillment of reaching your desired outcome. It might turn out even better than you expected. Isn't that amazing? Remember, however much you're willing to put in, we will match it tenfold on our end. Everyone over here is rooting for you to win in the game of life, so just do it. Loving you so, so much.
Thank you.
So there you go. I don't know what you're working on, but girl, it seems like it's time for you to go balls to the wall. Okay, balls
Please.
to the wall. Y'all, Allyssa has a book club. I don't know if she's actively doing it regularly right now, but she does have a book club. I'm gonna put the link to her channel in the description of this video. You guys make sure you go over there, subscribe, join her for these book discussions, and make sure that you like the video again, comment on the video to join the conversation. Thank y'all for being here, and I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.